An absolute cracker. This is normally at any stage of any season, but this year it's got even better. It's Spurs or Tottenham versus Arsenal. Tottenham plus 110. Let me tell you straight away that was plus 125 when it opened up, and I went Not just I didn't bite the hand. I bid it up to the shoulder. Arsenal plus 245. Under or over 2.5. Over at a minus 130. I can easily see this being 2-1, 3-1. Team total of plus 105 for Spurs to score twice is another massive avenue. Stinch, I'm all over the home side here. I'm not having Arsenal, and I think they're too strong, and they've got people to score goals.
I think the price is about right. No bet, Mark.
Oh. I build it up as the biggest game. You spend 4 weeks talking about Leicester and Norwich with no bet, and then I give you the biggest game of the season at this stage, and you go mute. It's almost like you were pleading the Fifth Amendment as if you was on the stand there. Okay, Marco, here I put it to you that Spurs are by far the better side, stronger in the most crucial areas, and then you put in the triumvirate of the three going forward against the Arsenal boys, who are relying on someone that they might not even want to keep next year.
Yeah, I think that is the difference. I wouldn't go as far as saying Tottenham are very a huge amount better than Arsenal, because the consistency has been lacking. But I think there is a huge difference between the two teams, and it's up top and what Spurs have in their armoury, really, which is a huge amount of ammunition. Clinical ability, pace, trickery, just so much more than Arsenal have, really. And I think I want to be with Spurs. Obviously a cracking game, but I think that Spurs played pretty well. Perhaps the praise was a bit overblown at the weekend. Who knows, really? They survived the early onslaught at Anfield, grew into the game, and provided problems of their own in the counter-attacks. And I think they defended pretty well too in the second half. But this is what it's all about. This is what we've all been sort of leading up to for a few weeks now. And North London derbies tend to be quite fun affairs. 17 of the last 21 in the Premier League have seen both teams scoring. Wouldn't be too surprised at all to see that repeat itself again. And we'll see a different Tottenham to what we saw at Liverpool. They got criticised by Jurgen Klopp for their approach, but I think it was a very sensible approach. And I think this calls for a completely different approach. And I think Conte will get his team absolutely up for this match. And they'll be going for Arsenal from the first whistle, really, because the rivalry needs no introduction, but also the sort of lay of the land in the Premier League needs no introduction. And Spurs have been very strong at home to Arsenal in recent seasons. They've won 5 of 7 unbeaten against Arsenal in recent years in the Premier League. And I think they'll sense an opportunity here. So for all Arsenal's progress that they've made this season, going back to August when they got thrashed twice in consecutive weeks and they were being laughed at as being bottom of the Premier League, they've come a long way since then. But still, there is a fragility about their away performances, and they have lost 7 away games in the league this season, which is quite a hefty total for a team chasing a top 4 finish. And they concede multiple goals on 8 occasions as well. So there is still that fragility about them defensively, and there's no better attack really than Tottenham if they are on song and if they are all kind of singing from the same hymn sheet. And I think the atmosphere is going to be absolutely jumping from the first whistle. I really wouldn't be too surprised if Tottenham from the first whistle absolutely go for Arsenal. With sort of a sort of rampant first 15 minutes really, just try and squeeze the life out of Arsenal, get the early goal, and things could get really tasty and quite lively quite quickly too. So I think I go back to December time when Spurs played Liverpool, and okay, Liverpool were missing a few key players, but Spurs went for them straight away, and they did the same against Man City away at the Etihad in February. They scored inside the first 5 minutes. So yeah, I'm going to back rather than back Tottenham just to win the match, because I think like Stinch, I kind of agree with the match odds in terms of what the prices are, because there's saying Spurs are slightly better than Arsenal. That might be down to motivation and purely what's at stake in the Premier League. But and I appreciate all the prices correlate in all the markets. But rather than back Spurs at that price, I'd rather back the much bigger price, which is around, I think, plus 250 on Tottenham in the half-time, full-time market. So you're basically doubling the price on Tottenham to win by just adding them to basically lead at half-time. As I said, I think just the lay of the land, and Spurs know exactly what they have to do. They're going to be chasing. They need to get back into this top 4 race. Arsenal, you could assume, will be a bit more reserved, a bit more pragmatic, a bit more aware of the situation. They'll be more than happy to leave with a point or better. So, I think it'll be not necessarily one-way traffic from the first whistle, but I do think it'll be a Tottenham team pushing and pressing from the first whistle, and I do think they will hopefully get ahead early doors and we'll get a nice payout at a big price. But I'd rather be in Tottenham than Arsenal's camp coming into this.
Okay, well, I've had word, Stinch, that the fifth has been declined because look at this. Plus 100 for both teams to score an over. Plus 105 for Spurs to score over 1.5. Half-time, full-time. As Mark says, massive price. Plus 340 for both teams to score in the first half. Plus 110 for the home side. I mean, and then let's throw in cards because this will get spiky.
Yeah, I think Mark said, was it 17 of the last 21 North London derbies I've seen both teams score? So that both teams scoring over, did you say it was minus 105?
Plus 100.
Well, if you look at plus 100, when you consider that over 2.5 goals is minus 130, look at the increase there just by saying that nobody wins to nil. That definitely looks like the way to go to me. Over 2.5 goals has been in 6 of Arsenal's last 7 games, and Spurs have scored at least 2 goals in 10 of their last 12 matches at home. My only sort of reservation is kind of, in my mind, is why I'm kind of leaving it alone, is because it feels a little bit like a sort of second leg of like a European game, because Arsenal will be happy with a point in my mind, because they've got I think they've got a 2-point gap, isn't it, on Spurs in the league table. I think Arsenal would be happy to take a point and get out of there. So that's my only sort of reservation really regarding. I think it could just be one-way traffic from Tottenham against. It may be a difficult Arsenal backline to break down. Arteta's done it a few times since he's been there. Beat Liverpool in the Community Shield. Beat both Man City and Chelsea in the FA Cup by playing this like defensive low block game. So I could envisage him doing that. It's just if he does that, I would be looking at maybe Tottenham corners, because it'd be just wave after wave of Tottenham attacks, and given they have like those high wing backs, the ball will get out wide and they'll look to get crosses into Kane, and they'll also look to take shots, and that will lead to more corners. So I'll be looking there as well. But yeah, if there was one bet I'd had to sort of go for, that both teams scoring overs, I think is fantastic given the increase from that minus 130 to plus 100.
I love that. I give you 6 different markets that you didn't even want to be getting involved in, and then you add one. What about the over 4.5 cards? Surely we see 5 cards or 3. Listen, if you get 3 yellows and a red, that gets you to 5 cards. So yeah, listen.
Who's the ref, Mark? Do we know yet?
Yeah, Paul Tierney averages 4 cards in the Premier League this season anyway. So
this is getting naughty, mate. You have a look at some of these. Look at me. I've gone as if I'm like selling stuff down the market. You've got players that their touch can be heavy in the centre of midfield. You've got Højbjerg who'll stick his foot in. Xhaka. You've got pace, which means then the fullbacks are going to dive in. You've got almost, out of the 22 players, I'd say there's 15 that could be realistic yellow card targets. It's just bonkers. Even Harry Kane, he could chase back if he loses the ball and cut someone. And listen, I think he'll be like plus 300 for an individual. I love it. This is what I love in this game. Alex Classic, both teams to score an over, plus 100. Spurs to score twice. Okay, I've got to love the halftime full-time because I want to be on Spurs. Money line at plus 110, but the halftime full-time comes from my expert. Cards over 4.5. And plus 110 for Spurs. Listen, Spurs money line plus 110. Spurs half-time, full-time plus 250. And I've added Spurs to score twice at plus 105.